years ago, I fought my way out of that cave, became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
What is up, guys? Kid Critic is back with another review, and this review is on the highly anticipated culmination of the Infinity Saga, Avengers Endgame, which is directed by Joe and Anthony Russo and stars Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Josh Brolin, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Paul Rudd, and so many others. And as you see here, I'm rocking the Marvel Studios shirt, but of course we always have the Kid Critic jacket, as always. So Avengers Endgame is about adrift in space with no food or water. Tony Stark sends a message to Pepper Potts as his oxygen supply starts to dwindle. Meanwhile, the remaining Avengers, Thor, Black Widow, Captain America, and Bruce Banner must figure out a way to bring back their vanquished allies for an epic showdown with Thanos, the evil demigod who decimated the planet and the universe. And with that said, Joker, start this review for us.
And here we go.
So coming into this film, I was just so excited. My excitement was just through the roof because I've been a long time fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever since the first Iron Man film. So I had high hopes, but I was still a little bit hesitant because it's very hard to conclude this saga, especially with the way Infinity War ended. And coming out of this movie, I ended up loving this movie a lot. And there was honestly no better way to end this saga. And the payoffs in this film were incredible, from the relationships between characters, character arcs, and moments throughout the whole entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. All have their payoffs, and it was also emotional especially because you've seen these characters basically develop throughout this Marvel Cinematic Universe ever since the beginning, and you've seen their journey to get to where they are today in Endgame. It felt like watching somebody that you've known ever since they were born to then see them graduate from high school or college. That's how it felt in Endgame with certain characters. I won't say who it is. And it just felt, it was emotional and satisfying all at the same time. And that's kind of how this film has been described with a lot of reviews, as satisfying. And I 101% agree with them. This film is satisfying, and it is a perfect ending to the Infinity Saga. Now, most people have said that the first two acts are very slow and the third act is just awesome. Now, while the first two acts are definitely slower and the third act just takes it to like a whole other level, I don't think there's a second wasted in this movie, because it either deals with developing characters, something that has to do with the story, something that's balancing out the tones. I don't feel like any second is wasted in this movie. And I personally enjoyed the first, second, and third act. I mean, the third act was my favorite, but the first two acts were awesome as well. Now, fan service is usually a term that people use as a bad thing, but in this movie there is lots of fan service, but in a good, brilliant way. And fan service that pays off everything that we've been wanting in the last 11 years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what makes fan service work is that it gets earned, and Marvel has more than earned fan service, and boy, is it just amazing in this movie. The performances in this movie as well were incredible. Scarlett Johansson is amazing in this movie. Robert Downey Jr. is brilliant in this film. Jeremy Renner is great. Chris Evans is awesome. Chris Hemsworth is good. I mean, everyone is great in this movie. And obviously, Josh Brolin comes back as Thanos, who is brilliant as Thanos, as always. There's also some great surprises throughout the film. So if you got like a spoiler, don't worry. There are lots of surprises throughout the film. Now, the third act of Avengers Endgame was just ripped out of a comic book. Like, it was absolutely nerd-chilling. If you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a fan of the MCU, the third act is just pure gold. It is amazing. It is everything you just want to see Oh, it was so good. And as you can tell, I'm being very vague because it's a non-spoiler review, and it's just very tough doing a non-spoiler review on this film. It's like walking on seashells, basically. So I'm doing my best here. The film also brings the laughs, as almost every Marvel Cinematic Universe film has. Now, this definitely has dark moments, obviously, but the laughs definitely pay off. Obviously, there's the jokes that don't work, but that's almost with any movie, but like I would say 90% of the jokes worked in this film, and they were put in great places throughout the movie to balance out the tones again. And what the Russo brothers and writers Marcus and McFeely did brilliantly with this film is that each character had their own separate moments, not moments, whether it's Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Nebula gets more of a role, Thor, and they all get their due in this movie. Now, there are some plot holes in a certain part of the movie, but what they did in that certain part of the movie is just so great that just completely ignore the plot holes, and it just makes that part of the film just even better. Now, to end things off, I feel like Kevin Feige and everyone who's been a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether it's from the writers, the actors, or directors, deserve a huge applause from the Kid Critic audience. Come on, yeah, let's have them higher. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, because just the way they've been orchestrating this whole thing into like basically a show, and this is like the season finale. It's just, you've never seen anything like this before in the film industry, and it's absolutely incredible to see. And it's going to be a long time before we see an event like Avengers Endgame. And if you're a long-time fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you'll absolutely love this film. You'll get the payoffs, you'll get the character moments, you'll get the action, you'll get the relationships, you'll get the back and forth. The emotional moments are just at an all-time high. I absolutely love this movie as a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. And I feel it. I feel it coming back, guys. 4.8 out of 5 Fernies. That's right. The Fernie scale has come back for Avengers Endgame and will come back for more reviews to come. I absolutely love this movie. And with that said, guys, tell me down in the comment section below, what did you think of Avengers Endgame, the culmination, the end, the finale of the Infinity Saga? I loved it. It's probably my second favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film. I still have Civil War at number 1. Make sure to see my top 5 list of the MCU. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And with that said, guys, look out for the next video or review. And peace.